Hello, it is so nice to see you again. Welcome to second episode of the Headspace Guide to Meditation and Mindfulness. I am Turuko. I will be here to tell you the rest of the book. Hope you enjoy. If you do, please don't forget to subscribe. Okay, let's start. Episode 2. The founding of Headspace teaching meditation was something I'd long felt passionately about. But I also felt a certain sense of duty to pass on the care and attention to detail that had been given to me by my own teachers. When I saw the way that meditation was sometimes being taught here in the UK, it amazed me that anyone could get any benefit from it at all. While the transition of meditation from East to West had been handled with great care and sensitivity by the monks and nuns of spiritual traditions, in the secular world, it was done in the same way as we do everything else. In a hurry. It was as if we simply couldn't wait a moment longer to experience a quiet mind. So the techniques were extracted in isolation and without any context. This made them almost impossible to learn. How many people do you know who've tried meditation but then given it up? Worse still, how many people do you know who would never even give it a try because they think they'd be no good at it? But without knowing what meditation really is, without being given the essential instructions and guidance on how best to approach the techniques, how could it ever possibly work? As you'll soon discover, the practice of meditation is about much more than simply sitting down for a set period of time each day. Although it may be a key component, it is just one part of a broader system of mind training that incorporates 3 distinct aspects. Each aspect is equally important, and in order to get the most out of your meditation, the other 2 aspects also need to be learned. Traditionally, meditation students were taught first how to approach the technique, then how to practice it, before finally learning how to integrate the techniques into their everyday lives. With the intention of presenting meditation as part of this broader system of mind training, Headspace officially launched in 2010. The idea was simple: to demystify meditation, to make it something accessible and relevant for modern-day living. Nothing kooky, nothing wacky, just straightforward tools that people could use to get some headspace. The idea was also to get as many people as possible to try meditation, not just to read about it, but to actually do it. There will undoubtedly come a time when sitting down to get some headspace for 10 minutes a day is no more unusual than going out for a walk. 10 or 15 years ago, it was hard to say the word yoga without people sniggering, and yet going to the gym to take a yoga class is now no more strange than going there to do aerobics. In fact, arguably less so. Although it took years of research, planning, and development to make the project a reality, it is but a blink of the eye in terms of the history of the techniques. These are meditation exercises that have been passed down from teacher to student over thousands of years. That's more than enough time to refine and develop the techniques, not to mention iron out any creases. In a world of novelty, fads, and fashions, there is something very reassuring about that authenticity. It was that authenticity which allowed me to start working alongside doctors, assisting in the adaptation of the techniques for medical use. It was the same authenticity that allowed me to start up in private practice as a clinical mindfulness consultant, where over the years I've seen clients suffering from insomnia, impotence, and everything in between. So, there I was, perched on top of that wall. I took one final look behind me and jumped. I was sorry to leave the monastery in this way, but looking back, I have no regrets about being there in the first place. Every monastery, retreat, and meditation center I have ever lived in or visited has taught me something. In fact, over the years I've had the privilege and good fortune to study with some incredible teachers, meditation masters in the truest sense of the word. If there's any wisdom to be found in these pages, then it's entirely down to them. The way I see it, my strongest qualification for writing this book is that along the way, I've made just about every mistake possible in my meditation training, and so hopefully I can help you avoid making similar ones. This means giving you advice on how to best approach meditation, how best to practice meditation, and how best to integrate meditation into the rest of your life. Carrying a map is one thing. Having someone to show you the way is quite another. Episode 3: How to get the most from this book. Meditation is a wonderful skill with life-changing potential, but how you choose to use that skill is up to you. With increasing coverage of meditation and mindfulness in the media, many people seem to be in a hurry to define its purpose. But the truth is, you define the purpose by deciding how you choose to use it. When you learned to ride a bike, I'm sure you were simply shown how to ride the bike, not how you should use that ability. Some use a bike to commute. For others, it's to hang out with friends. And for a very few, cycling may even become a career. But the skill of being able to remain in the saddle is the same for each. So while somebody else might have taught you how to ride, you define what cycling means to you, how you use it, and how it best suits your lifestyle. And so it is with the skill of meditation. It can be applied to any aspect of life, and the value of it is equal only to the value you place upon it. In order to get the best from this book, and consequently the many benefits of meditation, you don't need to choose just one area of your life that you'd like to focus on. At least not at first, anyway. Meditation is much broader than that, and the qualities that arise from it tend to inevitably impact those areas of life where it's needed most. However, it's useful to know how other people use meditation to appreciate its full potential. For many, it's the all-round stress buster, an aspirin for the mind. In short, a way of getting some headspace each day. For some, it's the foundation of a broader approach to mindfulness, an opportunity to touch base with what it means to be present and in the moment throughout the day. For others, it might be part of a personal development plan toward greater emotional stability, or integrated into a spiritual path of some kind. And then, there are those who turn to meditation as a way of improving their relationships with partners, parents, children, friends, colleagues, and associates. Since 2004, the UK National Institute for Clinical Excellence, NICE, has recommended the use of an adapted program of meditation, or mindfulness, as it's known in the medical world, for those at risk of a relapse of recurrent depression. It has also been studied in a wide range of stress-related health disorders. These include, but are by no means limited to, anxiety, insomnia, chronic pain, compulsive eating, and heart health. Away from the medical world, but still with the intention of targeting one specific aspect of life, many people use meditation to give them an extra edge in a particular discipline, job, hobby, or sport, including many professional athletes. And finally, stretching the boundaries of your imagination, meditation has even been adopted by the U.S. Marines to make them more focused and efficient on the front line. Episode 4: Meditation and the Mind. It may seem implausible that meditation could have such a broad range of benefits. But if you think about it, whatever you do that involves the mind is going to benefit from meditation. It's like fine-tuning the hard drive of a computer. And is there anything you do that doesn't involve the use of your mind? Given what a central role the mind plays in our lives, it's remarkable that this meditation revolution hasn't happened sooner. We don't think twice about exercising our bodies. Well, most of the time anyway. And yet the well-being of the mind tends to take a back seat. Whether that's because nobody else can see it, or because we think it's a lost cause, is neither here nor there. The fact is, our entire existence is experienced through the mind. We depend on it for our sense of happiness and fulfillment in life, and for positive relationships with others. So taking a few minutes out of each day to train and maintain it is simply good common sense. Episode 5: Meditation is an experience. As well as being a skill, meditation is also an experience. This means you need to do it in order to fully appreciate its value. Meditation is not just another fluffy concept or philosophical idea. Rather, it's a direct experience of the present moment. In the same way that it's up to you to define the purpose of meditation, it's also up to you to define the experience of meditation. Imagine a friend describing an amazing meal they'd eaten at a restaurant. Now imagine going there and eating it yourself. Hearing about the food and tasting the food are two completely different things, right? Or imagine reading a book about skydiving. No matter how much you reflect on the author's words and visualize yourself jumping from 10,000 feet, the experience will never come close to actually launching yourself out of a plane and hurtling toward the ground at 120 miles an hour. So in order to get meditation, you need to do it. I'm sure you know what it's like to buy a new book, become inspired, commit to changing your life, and then, within a few days, be back in the same old habits wondering where it all went wrong. In the same way that sitting at home reading a diet book while eating chunky chocolate fudge ice cream is never going to make you any thinner, simply thinking about what's written in this book is not going to give you any more headspace. Well, okay, it might give you a little more headspace, but the point is, you need to actually do the exercises to experience the real benefit. And preferably, not just once or twice either. Like going to the gym, it only works if you actually go and do the exercise on a regular basis. In fact, the real change will happen in those moments when you put the book down and practice the techniques. The change is subtle, intangible, yet profound. It involves a growing sense of awareness and understanding that can't help but change the way you feel about both yourself and others. But to really make the most of this book, it's worth considering the possibility that not everything you've heard or read about meditation is necessarily true. In fact, some of the myths are spectacular. Unfortunately, many of the more popular misconceptions about meditation simply reinforce the same old patterns of thinking that most people would like to change. We're often rather attached to these ideas, and like old friends, they feel familiar and comfortable to be around. But for genuine change to take place, a certain amount of openness is required, a willingness to investigate. So this book isn't written to give you a definitive answer, to tell you what to believe and how to think. Nor is it written to solve all your problems and give you everlasting happiness. But it is a book that has the potential to fundamentally transform your experience of life if you put it to the test. Meditation isn't about becoming a different person, a new person, or even a better person. It's about training in awareness and understanding how and why you think and feel the way you do, and getting a healthy sense of perspective in the process. It just so happens that when you do that, any changes you want to make in your life become that much more feasible. More than that, it shows you how to be okay with the way you are right now and how you feel. But put it to the test. Don't simply believe it works because that's what the scientists say. As valuable and fascinating as that research is, it will mean nothing if you don't directly experience the benefits yourself. So use the instructions, refer back to them, give it time, be patient, and see what 10 minutes a day can do for you. Episode 6, the Headspace app. The Headspace app. Although this book contains everything you need to know to get started with meditation, you'll find the Headspace app to be an invaluable tool and companion. Many people find it easier to learn how to meditate when they are guided through the exercise by a teacher's voice. Headspace is available for download on iOS and Android. The techniques. Throughout this book, you'll find specific exercises designed to get you started and keep you going with your meditation practice. It may be a short 2-minute exercise, introducing a particular aspect of meditation, or the full 10-minute version, known as Take 10 in the app. Or it might be a mindfulness exercise, designed to bring awareness to everyday activities such as eating, walking, and exercise. There's even an exercise to help you get a good night's rest. But remember, it's when you put the book down and close your eyes to meditate that you'll feel the real benefit of these techniques. The stories. Meditation instructions always used to be given in the form of a story, and this is a tradition I've continued in writing this book. Stories make difficult concepts easy to grasp, and forgettable instructions easy to remember. Many of the stories presented here involve my own misunderstandings and struggles with meditation along the way. Sure, it would be easy to write about the times when I felt relaxed, calm, and even blissful during meditation, and also about the radical, positive change that meditation has made to my life. But the real value is in looking back at the mistakes that I've made and sharing those with you, because that's where the learning took place, and it's from those very same experiences that I can help you to get some headspace. The science in recent years, the advancement of MRI technology, together with sophisticated brain mapping software, has meant that neuroscientists are now able to observe the brain in a whole new way. This means that they've been able to discover exactly what happens to the brain when we're learning to meditate, and also some of the effects of long-term practice. At first, it was assumed that it was simply the activity of the brain that changed during meditation, but multiple studies have shown that the structure of the brain itself can change in a process known as neuroplasticity. So, in the same way that training the body can make a particular muscle thicker and stronger, so training the mind with meditation can make the area of the brain associated with happiness and well-being thicker and stronger. For many people, this new research can be motivating, inspiring, and help to build confidence, especially in the early days of learning meditation. It's for this reason that I've included a handful of these research findings at the end of the book, in chapters titled The Approach, The Practice, and the Integration. They relate specifically to the information in those chapters, but have a much broader relevance too. But if you'd like to find out more about the research into meditation and mindfulness, check out the dedicated research section of our website, headspace.com/science. The case studies. In addition to the stories described above, you'll also find a chapter entitled Tales from the Clinic, which brings together a number of case studies from over the years. Some of these people have been referred to me by their doctor or GP for specific symptoms, but many more have come simply because they're looking for more headspace in their life. Written with the kind permission of each individual, these case studies demonstrate the simplicity, power, and potential of a daily meditation practice. Diary and feedback. Although meditation is all about letting go, keeping a diary when you're starting out can really make a difference. You can use the diary section provided at the back of this book to help keep track of your progress. I also suggest you like the Headspace Facebook page to hear from other meditators and join the community. Mindfulness and meditation, what's the difference? Let's be honest, it's hard to hear the word meditation without thinking of a yogi in a loincloth on a mountaintop somewhere in the Himalayas. That, or a shaven-headed monk or nun sitting in a monastery, chanting, chiming bells and blowing horns, while cloaked in thick clouds of incense and orange robes. Been there, done that. Or perhaps stoned-out hippies in tie-dye t-shirts spring to mind, or groups of New Age enthusiasts running around in the woods, taking it in turns to hug a tree or two. There's no escaping it. The word meditation comes with baggage. When a few progressive Western doctors tried to introduce meditation into mainstream healthcare more than 30 years ago, they were pretty much laughed out of the hospital they worked in. Not to be deterred, they changed the name to Mindfulness and continued with their research. Now, although mindfulness, in the form it has come to the West, has its origins in the Buddhist meditation tradition, there is nothing inherently Buddhist about it. Mindfulness is the key ingredient of most meditation techniques and goes far beyond the formal aspect of sitting down with your eyes closed. Mindfulness means to be present, in the moment, undistracted. It implies resting the mind in its natural state of awareness, which is free of any bias or judgment. Sounds nice, doesn't it? This is in contrast to how most of us live our lives, which is to be constantly caught up with all the little and big thoughts and feelings, and to be critical and judgmental of ourselves and others. It's usually when we're caught up in all the little things that we start to make mistakes. At least that's the way it's always been for me. And those mistakes can affect our performance at work, our relationships with others, even the bottom line in our bank account. Whenever I think about a lack of mindfulness, I'm reminded of a time when I was living in Moscow. The school where I worked used to pay me in US dollars, and as the salary was quite good, I was able to save up a bit of money each month. It was just after the financial crisis of the late 1990s, and so nobody trusted the banks. People either hid their money under their mattress or tried to find a way to squirrel it out of the country. I'd been saving up for a meditation retreat, so on my next flight back to the UK, I decided to take what money I had with me. The government had introduced strict rules about taking money out of the country, the main rule being that you couldn't take any. So I'd resorted to tucking $500 down the front of my underwear. Standing there in my monk's robes with a wad of cash shoved down my pants, I couldn't help but feel slightly guilty, no matter how good my intention was to spend it on a retreat. In fact, I got so caught up in all the little thoughts of anxiety, of rehearsing my Russian for the customs officials, that when I went to the toilet, I completely forgot I'd put the money down there.